Alright, what is up? Welcome back to another video. Now, I've gotten this question a few times, and I've made a few videos about it, but I just want to make another one and hopefully go over it in some greater detail. So I have here a couple Canon AE-1s, and this is a very similar designed mirror box to the A1 and the AE-1 program. There's a few notable differences between all of the models. This one is an AE-1, but the internal mechanisms here are roughly all the same. There's some notable things that happen with this series of cameras that I want to discuss, the two most common of which being the aperture squeal and the shutter squeal. They go by different names. You got the shutter cough, and nobody really talks about the aperture squeal, but I will tell you it's a big issue. So primarily what I want to focus on are those two things while we're here, and just discuss why that happens and where it happens and how you can address it and my recommendation there. So for starters, we have the mirror discharged, and that's pretty much where it's set now. So if I toggle this is the recharging system for the mirror, and you'll notice there's this assembly of gears that moves right there. That would be the location in which your squeal, if you have a shutter squeal, is coming from. I have another A1 here, and it has this issue, and you can hear it. That squealing is due to dryness in these gears, and there's a few ways that you can address that. One, you can do kind of the cheapy repair, remove that screw there, take a bit of oil with a tip that is angled just so, and put it in there and drop it on these gears. Now, that's a way you can do it for sure. I've had a lot of success with that in the past, but I've also noticed that sometimes I tell people, hey, this is a thing you can do, and they're like, okay, great, let me just, Exxon Valdez oil spill this place up and be good to go. But really, a drop will do you, because any more than that, and you start gumming up the operation of the gear, and if it's too slow to move, it's going to have an adverse effect. So it's going to be more like this. You'll get inconsistent exposures, inconsistent mirror travel, so on and so forth. So my recommendation typically is to not try to do it yourself if you can help it. Send it in somewhere or take it into a shop, get it repaired properly. I typically like to remove the mirror box like this, because then you can just access it a lot cleaner. I like to drop a bit of alcohol in there first, and now you'll notice that if I do this, oh, it sounds better, I must have fixed it, but that's really not the case. The alcohol is there really just to kind of clean it up, because then we'll take air in here to dry it out, and the alcohol, typically if you're using like 99%, will dry out on its own accord, and you can kind of hear that it's not as bad, but it's definitely coming back. So then I'll take either something like this, which is the deoxit, whatever. This works pretty well. It's very viscous, so it's not going to get everywhere. But if I can access it directly, what I will take is just like a drop of gun oil. And put it on these mechanisms there. Actuate it a few times to make sure that it gets all settled in, and then you're good to go. Now, kind of a similar thing with the aperture squeal. First, we have to charge the mirror, so we're going to hit this thing here. Now it is charged and good to go. And then press in on the stop down lever here. I'm going to move this here, which is your aperture lever or whatever, and that's going to move these gear assemblies here. You'll also notice that there's that metal contact that's kind of drifting over the board, and that's the aperture resistor. That's kind of what that looks like. And you'll notice these gears here. So there's a way you can access this from the bottom, but I've talked about it before. It's very, very, very precarious, so I really don't recommend trying this, because there is this little very thin tensioning band, basically. I don't know if you can see it. There's a very thin tensioning band. If you knock that off, you have to take the whole thing apart anyway. So I typically just, again, take the whole thing out, re-lubricate it while I'm there, because it's just as easy, if not easier. And then again, just kind of like a drop of alcohol, into there, dry it out. And then drop of oil. And that will make sure that it's running a lot cleaner, it's running smoother, and there's not going to be any friction that ultimately leads to this aperture thing not moving at all, and then thus your lens won't stop down properly. If your AE-1 program, or A1, is making some kind of squealing sounds, that's kind of where it comes from. Just wanted to take some time and discuss that in greater detail. Like I said, I've talked about it before, but really just wanted to address it for all of the new viewers out there. Again, I do not really recommend trying it yourself because, you know, you could probably mess it up pretty easily. So instead, just, you know, leave it to a professional or something of that sort. But anyway, thank you for watching. Appreciate it as always. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you on the next one.